Yeah. Well, very good. Very good.
So
Welcome to the show.
I know.
We finally got this working. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
How do we feel about the camera? Sorry.
What's that?
How do we feel about this camera?
Like,
is it okay? Angle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Cool.
gonna ask, so I'm in my my home work office. Is that the digs you're using for this?
Yeah, this is my workspace / this is actually a closet. I don't know if I ever showed my office.
I don't think so.
It's our closet, and then half of it's like my office, so it's cozy.
Dude, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So we have that. So when you stayed that one time, that's now my office. That spare bedroom was. So that's pretty much my.
Oh yeah.
And one thing I'm gonna say is, I am red compared to you. I don't know if it's because I'm hot or what, but
maybe it's
the camera adds 100 pounds too. So
yeah. There you go. Does that make you feel better? Look at that. I'm red now.
Did you take a filter off, or?
I just have a light.
Oh, okay. Maybe
I have a ring.
I'll get a better light because I'm red, but
yeah, this is a ring light from Amazon.
Okay.
It was like $9. It was funny because I bought it for our client meetings, and then when it said it was shipping, it showed me a picture of a leaf blower. So I was like, I don't know if I'm getting a leaf blower or a ring light, and I was kind of hoping I was getting a leaf blower. I'm not gonna lie.
There we have a plug-in one, and definitely go with the whole backpack battery one if you get a chance, because you have to pull that extension cord around the yard and stuff. But because I'm cheap, I'm yeah, that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
But we have probably spent more time turning it around and blasting it to where your cheeks go with the kids than we actually have
blowing leaves.
So it's probably been 3 years since I've actually used it, but we just mow over the leaves now. I don't even care. So
yeah.
But anyway,
back to business.
So before we really get started, I kind of wanted to if people actually listen to this or watch it, let them kind of have an idea of what we're doing. What are we doing?
Dude,
so
episode 1.
People
will come back to this one because it'll be so entrenched into our conversation. They'll be we got to see that first 10 minutes of them talking about leaf blowers.
So, what an intro. These guys are really on it. So we were, before this, we had dinner, and Danny and I went back and we turned on the very first episode of The Office. So,
oh yeah,
you just forget.
That's funny.
Yeah, the HR violations. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, even the greatest show like The Office has kind of a bumpy start.
So anyway, before we get started, I just wanted to hey, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing it? Do we think people are actually going to listen to a conversation between two meatheads? And
no.
Do we actually think anybody cares what we have to say? And I would say no. No.
Do we care? I don't care.
I don't care. I'm not making money. So
no.
Yeah. But so that's the first thing. And then what the heck are we doing? I don't know. So just background it a little bit. For me, I don't know if you remember this, but this goes back 9 years. So back when we were at Wells Fargo.
Oh yeah.
Back in the glory days. And I think there was some just random talks at lunch about, hey, we should do a podcast. And it wasn't really, I don't think it was my idea. I'm not sure it was your idea. But the group of people we ate lunch with and the group of people we worked with at Wells Fargo were pretty fantastic. So, it just seems like about it. What was it last year? We just kind of were like, what do you think about doing that podcast?
Yeah.
got excited. That was back when I was in the basement. So, before I moved up to the penthouse, but
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah. I kind of see like the Kelsey brothers. I don't know. I know you like that podcast, but you know, he made an interview and he said like, you know, it's really just, he's never spent so much time with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, we should do it just for that fact. Cause like you said, I don't care if people watch it, don't watch it. Like it gets huge. It stays small forever. Like we get an hour of each other's time every Sunday. Like,
Yeah,
that's going to be,
so.
That's my goal.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask too. Like, what were you hoping to get from this? What did you think? You know, and really the format is just, hey, this is our phone call. You guys get to listen in and see how big of dumb idiots we are, and but also hear about our families, hear about us. You know, maybe have those guys come in every once in a while. So,
yeah, and then the other part too is if we put it on YouTube or wherever, then our kids can always have like a place to go back and be like, man, my Uncle Ryan and my dad were, you know, maybe when we're long gone and they're like 40 or maybe like 60. I don't know. I want to live forever, but it'd be cool if they can go back and watch us and like just kind of be with us.
Yeah.
Like right now, those words right there, like they're with us right now.
Yeah.
40 years from now. I don't know.
Hey, enjoy the show, guys. We were cool once.
Yeah.
That was probably about 20 years ago for me now, but so yeah, that's, you know, I was kind of brainstorming and thinking like, hey, what would I want to share? You know, like just us talking to each other, our relationship, our past. And if it doesn't turn out to be anything fun, like you said, it's conversation that we got to hang out and have a little bit of fun. So
yeah.
So that was kind of that. But, so with that being said, first episode, first season. I was trying to think about how do we do this from a introduce ourselves standpoint, and the thing I don't know people realize is we kind of had a like I didn't know about you or meet you until I think I was 11, right?
Yeah.
And I think you were 5. So and then there was a period in there in between, you know, where our dad went to prison, and then we got split up, and then later we're kind of had that reunion. You know, I was 14. I think you were 8. I still remember you showed up at a baseball game. I think.
God, dude.
If I remember,
we're diving into it. Yeah. No, like, oh God. I didn't know you were gonna like just dive head first. So like,
no, I just want like,
yeah,
hey,
it's like
let's let them know, man. Like, so
yeah.
So I figured we could kind of intro who we were before we met, and then the first time we met, and then, you know, we can kind of talk a little bit of detail there, and then really 14, you were 8, and then, you know, that was life. So So I didn't know if you wanted to timeline this. Do you want me to go first? A little bit of background, like my time up until 11, and I'm going to do it really like this is going to be the synopsis, like the quick version. So,
okay, yeah, I need to hear the high version because we definitely can get into the weeds, and it's like we don't have 3 hours tonight.
Yeah, those are for later. So, our dad, we have different moms. So, my mom, our dad, I was born in Arkansas, Russellville, 1986 is the place to be. I don't know about that, but anyway,
he's like 98% mullets in that state.
Yeah,
in 86.
Yeah, 99%.
99. No. That was a low number. I was trying to be nice to anyone maybe from Arkansas listening.
No, good people there. So. I didn't really know Dad as a kid until I was probably 5 years old, because my mom and dad split when I was a baby. Grew up with my mom. That we can get into deeper stuff about that later, as far as life with her as when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember I was probably 5, 4 or 5, and they had a time where they were back together for a little bit, and that was in Russellville.
Yeah.
And then things didn't work out, and whatever. So that kind of, so I spent a majority of all of my before 9 years old in Arkansas, and then at 9, around 9, got to spend a little bit of time in foster care, right? So a little bit of that background and how I got to Iowa. So Dad actually came down, and we had all the court cases from when I was in foster care and all that stuff, and we'll talk details later. But moved in with him. So a guy that I had really only been around with a couple months of my life that I can remember, I'm now living with him. And I'm not gonna say a name on this. I'll just refer to as Bob, because I don't want to, give out, but probably know who I'm talking about. But came up and lived with Bob and Dad, and that wasn't the correct probably situation, anyways. And then, but anyway, we lived in Oskaloosa, and then next thing I know, we're living in this house, and then you and Free show up, and I'm like, oh, I got a younger brother and sister. Like, I didn't know that. So
dude, I'm like third party trying to, like, as a viewer, listen to this, and like our podcast is starting out with like how our family came back together. It's just like, it's it's us as we know it, but it's kind of funny, or not. It's unique to, like,
oh, yeah.
We're sharing our story of, like, we didn't just have Christmas together every year growing up. It's like, you're 9 and your dad's like coming to find you.
Yeah.
It's like a story.
Yeah. And how wild is that? Like,
yeah.
But just wait until we try to explain to them our family tree. Just wait.
Oh,
like that's,
we'll have a Google Doc, whiteboard.
Yes.
So I know we're not going like too deep, but we actually never really had this conversation. So I'm like just curious, like, he came and got you when you said 6, is that?
No. So I think I was about 4 or 5, and then my dad and my mom like tried to do the whole get back together.
Okay.
That maybe lasted a few months, but like, I'm like, oh, that's my dad, like, you just kind of meeting him, and and then when I was 9, I want to say, so it
9,
was going summer going into 5th grade for me. Dad and Bob show up, and I'm going to live with them, right? That's what the judge wanted. So I'm like, all right, man, like, let's pack it up. Let's go find out what Iowa's about. I don't even know where that's at. So
in 1995, what does that put Dad's age? Because I'm curious of, like, this whole, if
he was born in 55. So I think it was
he's 40.
Summer. Yeah, so I think it was summer of 96. So he might have been 41.
40 years old, dude.
Dude, I was on the back end of, I'm not even 40 yet. How wild is that?
I know. That's what I'm like, dude. 41 years old. Holy cow.
The life he lived. Dude, the 70s and 80s, he is down with the ladies. But
at 41, he's just like, can we cuss on this? Are we? Maybe not.
No, be yourself. I want you to 100% be yourself. So I'll
maybe not the best thing to do, but at 41, he was like, fuck it, I'm going to get my kid. Hold my beard. Dude, he's just
well, and I'm not sure how all that happened, because like I was in foster care, right? So and for anybody that ever has heard, like, that was one of the, I'm gonna get choked up on this because I remember their names. First, last, and but that was one of the best experiences of my life ever. So
man, that's beautiful.
We gotta get this thing to like. We'll talk about.
I can't wait to hear about that. It's just crazy. We've always just stayed positive, and we don't talk about this stuff. So it's like, dang, I want to know now. But
I know.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. I can't wait to find out.
Yeah. So, if you ever Charlie and Robin, and I'll save their last names. I won't put that out there just in case people actually watch this. But we'll talk about them. So
yeah.
So anyway,
right.
yeah.
So 95, we're in D Street.
D Street, dude, you're so good. Yeah. D Street. Next to that, a block away from the Asian restaurant. Yeah. So.
And demo derby at the nursing home or whatever that. I don't know if you remember that, dude. But I remember.
Yeah, we tore
spearing our bikes into each other. For being poor kids, we were pretty nice with our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Just try every penny our dad had. He's like, "Here's a Huffy," and we're just like ramming it in this parking lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How many bikes did we tear up in that process?
But, we were grateful poor kids. I don't want to act like we were crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was so that takes me to 11, right? So between 9, I would say I would actually put it at 10 because I think I turned 10 that summer. And then so I'd spent a year with Dad and Bob for a year, and then there's you. So I need to and I know you were what, 5, 4 or 5 maybe, something like that. So I don't know if you'll have
4
much
in 95.
I don't know if you'll have much.
That's why I'm keeping notes here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a ton actually, which is crazy to think. Like, my kid's 3.5. It's like he's gonna remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
That just, this whole conversation alone, and that is like, we could end podcasting now and I'd be like, this was worth $1 million because I remember almost I'll just like spit it out there. I remember who's gonna shower first. We had to throw like pennies on that doorstep with Dad and playing Hot Wheels down the basement door.
Yeah.
I remember vividly swinging it around the handrail because Angel and Freedom were, so I was like, I want to do it, and then I busted my forehead on the steps. Like I remember the derby bikes, like that at 4 years old. That's crazy. My kid's gonna remember everything, and it's like we're in,
So we're
in the prime.
I remember too. So that was some DHS, whatever you want to say, situation where that's when you started living with us and they had to inspect the home and everything. Yeah. And I remember we got in so much trouble because I had a bedroom on the second floor.
Yeah.
That faced the road. And we had the window open with no screen in it because we took it out. And we're like yelling out the window and stuff. And the DHS people pulled up for their interview with us. And
you're out the window.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God. Where's your dad, young man?
That was we got in a lot of trouble when they left.
Oh God.
We got yelled at. But yeah.
Yeah. So, hold on. Pause on that because it's fucking hilarious. Like, so your kid's hanging out the window. The DHS real adults come, and you're not adulting because you're not watching your fucking kid out the window. So you fucking scream at him. Oh my God, that's too far. Did I get that right?
I mean, that you could look at it that way, but like they had no idea we took the screens out the window. I was 11. They shouldn't have to babysit me.
Okay, right. You're letting them off the hook on this one.
I'm getting them off the hook on that one because I can't. That was
Dad's watching, just like
these kids are ratting me out.
Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious! So
that's good.
Yeah, that was D Street, man. So I got to think about what school it was at. I
want to say Whittier. I don't know why that's
Whittier,
on my
Whittier.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you went to the. So I remember like there was something where you had to go to like an after hours daycare, right?
Yeah, like a preschool. Pre-K thing or something.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Like,
that was over by Come and Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, behind the.
And then so you had to do that.
And I
Yeah,
remember that lady. And she
yeah.
used to read these romantic books while everyone's sleeping on these cots and come around and rub your backs. That's where my obsession with massages come from. Like this lovely lady just rubbing my back at 4 years old.
Did it knock you out? Because I remember
Oh
like
yeah,
my
it'd tear
favorite
you
is
up.
like the head rubs, like when they're playing with your
Yeah,
hair. I
yeah,
like I'm always like, not always, but I'll ask Danny. I'm like, hey, will you kind of do that thing?
yeah.
Knock me out. So
What a sweet lady. Thinking about that, like she must have really enjoyed kids.
yeah,
Because Caitlin watches kids, but I don't see her like. Maybe it's the time also, like 2024. You can't really just massage some kid's shoulders, but like
yeah,
it was nothing weird. It's just like she must have loved kids.
yeah.
Put him to sleep with a little book and a massage, like a little rub on the back.
I'll give you a nice
Bless her
warm
heart.
glass of shut the hell up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we
uh,
were terrorists the whole time we were there, and then she
oh,
was
dude.
like, then she just loved on us and read her book.
Yeah.
What a nice
Do you
lady.
do you remember her name?
I don't.
Mm.
She makes me sad.
Yeah, that's always one of those things that you'd be like, hey, I hope that works out. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so and then I had and I won't I'll try to keep from last names, but Cody, I don't know if you remember Cody, lived down the alley, the block behind us. And
I don't think maybe.
so he was one of my friends. But anyway, yeah. I mean, in that period, and I don't remember how long it was, but I can, we can kind of talk a little bit about this, as it advances forward too.
Yeah.
We shortly after that, Dad and Bob split up. Dad got his own place in Oskaloosa, and then I don't know how a guy who has to be at work 12 to 14 hours a day raises an 11-year-old and a 5 and a 4-year-old, or a 6 and a 5-year-old, however,
Yeah.
And so I know that didn't like tried to make it last as long as he could. And then I don't remember.
That was Tequila Wormhouse, huh?
Yeah.
Was that right? That little house
possibly.
by the
over by
race car
Lincoln.
track.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stock car track.
Yeah. And we you remember, and then shortly after that we went and stayed with Aunt Ruth and Uncle Joe in Oxford.
Wow.
Yeah. You remember those times? Like,
yeah.
I don't even know. The thing I remember the most about that is the boat. Do you remember the boat?
No, I don't think so.
Dad and Uncle Joe would play Super Black Bass all day long. And they had that little folding chair they called the boat. So whoever was fishing.
So Dad's been a gamer for a minute.
Oh, Dad's gamed. Well,
okay.
And we'll talk a little bit about the house behind Casey's too, where because he talks about that too. But yeah, so we lived there, and then that's when.
Wait, was Dad with us when we lived there with Ruth?
Yeah, yep. Dad was
Weird.
there.
Did we have a room or something? I don't remember that.
I don't even I think we camped out and
just couch surfed.
The details on this one is Shannon was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And she had her bedroom, and I think they had a loft bedroom upstairs, and I'm not sure, an attic. And
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, Joe was doing some finishing in the basement and stuff, but I mean, we made it work. It's stuff we did, But I don't remember how long we were there, but we ended up going to Sadell schools, because you were over in Norwoodville. I can't remember what that. We drove by it one time when we went to get pizza one time.
Yeah, I lived over there.
You remember? Yeah. So as an adult, you were like, "I'm back, baby. East side for life."
Yeah. So that's, as I drove past that school a couple times, I was like, it resonated. Like I was like, I think I've been there.
Yeah.
But it's been such a long lifetime. Like am I making that up? But that's the school then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I went to Woodside Middle School. So in between Ankeny and basically the north side of Des Moines. I don't know how you want to, but it's an interesting, eclectic group of like students in that area. But
Yeah.
shortly after that, we moved to that apartment on Aurora.
Oh yeah.
Second, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
those are wild times. But that was that. I don't know. So if I'm remembering right, 13. So I'd have been 13 when this was all, like when we all kind of, that whole thing went to crap, right? Because in that apartment, Dad and your mom got back together, right?
Yeah.
So that was their attempt to go down, or to get back together and try to make things what they wanted. And I remember when that all first started out, your mom was working at that hotel in downtown Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the kitchen. I want to say it was the Kirkwood, but
yeah, that sounds right. I
Kirkwood?
think so. Yeah,
I think so too. We'd have to. I don't even know if that'd still be there.
Oh yeah, I think it is, which is a whole nother.
That'd be a nostalgic
as an adult.
Kind of
but I've been in there, I think, like many times, and it's one of those other places where I'm like, I feel like I've been here. And I just keep that to myself. But it's like, yeah, we went in there, had eggs, and that whole.
Dude, you probably had a dozen eggs by yourself. So, like,
how old was I then? Like,
so you were probably 5 or 6. I mean, you weren't.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you were probably missing your 2 front teeth at that time. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because I remember you had your kindergarten pictures from Norwoodville, and you were sitting next to a tree.
Yeah.
Against a tree, and you're
with that wool sweater. That thing sucked, dude. Yeah. That's the only thing I take from that picture. I know I'm like cute with the no teeth, but that sweater sucked, dude.
So yeah. Yep. They tried to get there, and then we had some decent friends there. But what a wild place that was too. Like I remember some of those guys. And then home run derby with the pop cans. Playing.
I don't remember that. We were awesome. Hockey, yeah.
Yeah, and then do you remember the guy teaching us how to make the 2-liter pop bottle bombs?
No. Which is crazy. What?
I'm not even. So you take.
I know how to make them.
Yeah, I'm not going to put that out here just in case. So, because I don't need somebody being like, "Hey, these guys taught us how to do this."
It's been a bad thing going on. People are doing mailboxes or something.
Yeah, well, and you just mix a couple ingredients and then you watch this thing blow up. And so I remember that, and I'm like, so that would have put me at 12. Maybe
was that
12,
an
13.
adult?
Yes, that was an adult.
What in the hell?
Yeah.
And we just like took that information. We're like, we'll never use that for bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're so lucky we didn't just like have a stellar day that day. We're like, we should make more bombs.
Yeah. We should go see what this does to a cat. Like,
yeah. We just like took that knowledge and we're like, all right, you probably shouldn't have taught us that.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So some wild times. We'll get into some of those, but I remember going down to the bike trail I felt like in time, the sense of time changes as you get older.
Yeah.
Days are shorter. I feel like, but man, did it feel like we were gone forever on those bike trails?
Yeah.
Like all day you just go on a ride, and then now I know where that's at. We would go almost all the way down to Merle Hay, like the roads all the way down there, and there was no cell phones, none of that stuff. But kind of wild.
Yeah, which is I know, and I'm curious to know if it's like, was that just like 1997 stuff that people did, or like were we just stray dogs without a leash, kind of like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, dad. Yeah.
Because it's like people say different times, but that means different things to us. Because we're like, we pretty much explored the city of Des Moines as like you said, what, 11 years old?
Yeah. So essentially, Euclid to Merle Hay, to I-80, the I-80 35, not 235, but all the way down to probably what, Northeast 14. Like,
yeah, there had to have been like normal adults just like running on their lunch breaks, just like, was that an 11-year-old with a 5-year-old? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're probably yelling and screaming, just being crazy and like.
Oh, I was probably in my sailor phase then, where I was dropping bombs all day long.
Yeah, that's the other part. We probably had adults tell us to go home, and we were probably just like, "F you," and like
throw them the bird. Come tell me that to my face, and then take off running.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
that's hilarious.
So yeah, we were in that apartment until, well, I got to think. It was probably, so I was in the middle of, no, it was the beginning of 7th grade year for me, because when we moved from Sadell, we hadn't had our first football game at Sadell, but when Dad and I, and Oski, they were on their last game of the season. I'm like, how the heck does that happen? I missed my whole 7th grade season.
Oh yeah.
Which, big deal, but, so
I mean, it's kind of a big deal. It is a big deal, man.
I could have went pro.
Maybe.
I was at least D2 until that happened.
It's just another year of experience, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But no, I mean, I'm being serious. I know you're joking.
Don't minimize that.
Yeah, because like you look at your kids and like the years of experience that you've allowed them to have. Well, they've had, and where especially where Mac's at, it's like those years add up, man.
Yeah. Side note before I get to us going, that split coming up here. Mac's a sophomore.
I know.
How crazy is that?
She's still not old enough to ride bikes over to Euclid.
No. Yeah, we got some stories about her, man. But
yeah.
I think about that, and
she
continues to play, softball. I mean, there's 3 summers left of high school softball. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, so
I saw a TikTok that was, and it was something along the lines of like, your kid's 5, you have like 943 more weekends with them or something, or weeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't put numbers on that, because that hurts, man.
So I hope I haven't pissed her off enough that she doesn't want to come hang out. Like, as an adult, please come hang out. And I think about how busy, like, I've let my life get. And then, like, you think about, and this isn't where we're supposed to be going. Not that we have anywhere we're supposed to be going.
Yeah, we have no agenda.
No agenda. We're free ball.
Yeah.
But I think about, like, I feel so guilty about how I don't spend enough time going to see Dad.
Yeah.
He's 3 hours away, and
I know.
I've been to his house a handful of times. So some of the stuff I need to get better at. But
can I break the silence with just like ruthless Johnnie?
Yeah.
The motherfucker has a car. He's retired. What are we talking about? Don't cry on me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
This guy could drive his ass over to my house any day of the week. We work from home. If you're listening to this, you just fucking right there. We love you, man.
Yeah, you
got a car, motherfucker.
And he would say that too. He's like, you guys got kids. He's like, so.
He's like, anyway. Ryan was crying on there. God.
Yeah, what a big baby.
He's like, I didn't even want to see his ass. Like, once every couple months is fine, dude.
Yeah, he's not even my kid anymore. So anyway, let's kind of,
I'm just here
3 summers.
Real.
Oh, absolutely. And I enjoy that. Don't let me get too sentimental on anything.
Yeah.
So going back, I think 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there, because I'm getting ready to, so Dad is getting ready to go to prison.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's in the works.
That's from DUIs.
Yeah, so he got 3 OWIs, and it was really kind of a like I don't know all the details, but there's like a limitation period of years that's supposed to add up, and his was actually extended.
Oh,
and I don't know how they did it, but he wasn't actually supposed to go to prison.
it's 90s detective work right there.
Well, and
They're
there's
like, sir, you had cocaine on you. All of a sudden, they planted it on him.
but there's also the fact that like he's a Sims and he was in Oskaloosa, and
oh yeah,
that's just not a good place for that name. You know, we
weren't friends with the sheriffs.
Yeah, we weren't friends with the sheriffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there was some stuff there with the district attorney and stuff from my understanding that there were some clerical errors made, and he was supposed to go
errors.
Yeah. He was supposed to go to Oakdale or something like that for like a shock, like 30 days, like, hey, get your crap together. Like this is and they basically left him there for a year.
Whoa.
So
that's crazy. I didn't even know all that.
Yeah. So he got that, and I don't know the timeline on that. I don't know if your mom and dad like split and then he got the OWI, or he got the OWI, the stress of, that coming up helped the split. But essentially your mom took you in freedom, and I went with dad back to Oskaloosa, and then see ya. I didn't know if I'd ever see you guys again.
Wait, repeat that. So dad went to prison. You went to.
So dad and I left to go back to Oskaloosa on that split because, dad. I don't think dad was ever wanted to be in Des Moines, but I think he was in Des Moines for your mom, and we were up there with Aunt Ruth and Uncle Joe, and then I think they decided to try to get back together, and it just kind of worked out that way. But I don't think he ever had any intentions of ever staying in Des Moines.
Yeah. It's that country boy.
Yeah, so we go back to Oskaloosa, and there, I don't remember the full, some of it's not as clear. I'd have to think about it and try to remember it and everything, but kind of set it up to where I'd go stay with Uncle Joel, not Uncle Joe, but Uncle Joel. And so I went and stayed with him while dad was in prison. Which I guess kind of takes us to that next little blip where we don't know what's going on with either of us. So I'm living with Uncle Joel. Dude, we're bacheloring it up. We had steak. Oh, dude. Okay, so I don't care what anybody has to say about him, about Uncle Joel. Like, the dude took care of me, and was absolutely fantastic. And, before he got into his legal issues, which I won't air any of that stuff out here either.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, we'd have steak and...
So you're an 8th grader, right?
So I'm in 7th grade. I'm in 7th grade. 7th grade Oskaloosa. And we're having steak and shells and cheese every night. The dude took care of me. I was playing NASCAR on PlayStation probably 1 or 2 at the time. And
for how many hours at a time? He's just like all day.
Oh no. He would Uncle Joel would limit do that. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that says a lot about him. In 90s, and he was kind of like
he made. This is no joke. I had to drink a glass of milk before I could have anything else. Like he's like, nope, gotta have your milk before you have anything else. And
damn.
So
did you learn some dad skills from Uncle Joe? You had to, right?
Probably.
Like
I had to, yeah. Like so, and here's the cool part. Logan, like I got to hang out with Logan all the time, because we're only a year apart.
Yeah,
and he was over there hanging out all the time. Like so, Uncle Joe would, grill with one of us. The other one had to make the mac and cheese and get the glasses of milk ready.
Oh my god!
So it was a pretty good time.
Van Halen blaring in the background, probably.
He was great. So
kitchen with Trans Am posters all over it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just imagining this like bachelor.
He had a nice little place, so it worked out pretty good. But so anyway, we're hanging out, doing that kind of stuff, and long story short, like that time ran out so fast because he had his like legal issues that, in my opinion, they were all BS based on information that I heard of. So anyway, whatever he said, So when that happened, I went and lived with Uncle Jerry and Aunt Carrie. So, which, they nothing bad about that situation. They welcomed me into their house to take care of me. How hard would that be? Like, at least in Uncle Joel's situation, he didn't have kids. He wasn't in a relationship, so it wasn't added stress. But Jerry and Carrie, always grateful for that. I get to see him now at track meets because Sammy's kids run track and Mac runs track, so we run into each other a lot. We're in the same conference, so that's good. But so that was not too far from the D Street house. So I think that was C Avenue, not D Street that we were on there. But 7th grade in Oskaloosa, I hated every minute of that. Man, did I hate Oskaloosa Middle School. Like that is.
Let's dive into it. What happened?
I just hate.
You saw ugly chicks in Oskaloosa, wasn't it?
No. I'm not even gonna say that. It's like
it was 7th grade. Your hormones were pumping, and like they're just ugly chicks everywhere. You were frustrated.
Well, no, you got to think about it. Like I went from my dad to my Uncle Joe to my Uncle Jerry and Aunt Carrie, and like just being kind of like it was crazy. And then we'll fast forward it, but anyway, time with Jerry and Carrie, great. Like treated me great. Like I no complaints about any of that. They, what can you complain about on that? But this is where it all went south. Dad got out of prison, went back to Bob. Bob was back. So anyway, that was summer between 7th grade and 8th grade. So I went from Oskaloosa to North Mahaska. Hello, New Sharon.
8th grade.
Which actually, I'll tell you how 8th grade started. Sat down. Girl in front of me turned around, said she liked my shirt. I married
and that lady? Yeah, I was like, and that lady?
Yeah.
Yours truly.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Those two kids right there, that's her fault. So.
Day one, 8th grade.
Doing work.
Reeking of Old Spice, using Dad's deodorant probably.
Gosh. You know what? I do have, when we get deeper into this, I have some embarrassing stories, man. So anyway, I always look back. I think you can look back on different things. And I always look back on New Sharon as a positive for me. I love New Sharon. I know that's one of those places that we as a unit, Danny and I have been like, we're not going back. Regardless, but it's just I got fond memories there. I have some pretty crappy ones too, but
God, I love the town too. It's got a special place.
I don't even know what it is. Like, it's not like nowhere can do or be what New Sharon is for me.
I like to think of the quote like, it takes a village to raise a kid, and like, as much as I hated as like a little rebellious kid, tearing things up and like getting yelled at by everyone else's parents and the teachers and the coaches. It's like they all meant well, dude. If they didn't, they would have just let you,
like whatever,
they would just
dude,
not carry on. But they cared
Yeah.
so much about everyone's kid that they parented everyone. I like that.
And it's I don't know, it's kind of wild. So and then so get to New Sharon, 8th grade, go through 8th grade, kind of get set in the ways there, and you knew the kids I hung out with. You kind of became part of that too. But Montezuma playing baseball.
Yeah.
It was probably June, because I don't think junior high made it to July, so May or June. And
you just roll up, dude.
Yeah, you just roll up. Like,
did you know us coming?
I don't think I don't know if I did or if I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's unique. But here's I don't think freedom came quite yet, if I remember right. It was you, and then how screwed up is that? That
I know.
like, the only people that or that you can depend on is how you feel, right? Like in some of those situations, and the state or whoever does that. Yeah, whoever makes these decisions does that. So anyway, that takes us to 14 from my perspective, and I think you're going to be 8 or 9. So do you remember going from Des Moines, like that gap in between Des Moines and New Sharon? And I do know a little bit. I don't know if we've ever gotten deep into discussions on this, but
which is, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It feels like a whole lifetime in between that period, and as you said, we'll get into it deeper, but it's so traumatic for me that it's like, was that like 15 years of my life? And it probably was just like a couple of months or whatever, a year. What do we say? Maybe a year?
Yeah, a year, maybe a year and a half. It like,
dude, that's nothing when you're like, we're an adult now, and a year goes by like snap your finger, like, kid's 3.5. Like, how did 3.5 years go by already? And then you think, I don't know, that 1 year and a half went like 15 years of my life.
Well, just the stuff that I know you had to endure.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to piece it all together and like put a age on like you did it perfectly, I think, because you're a little bit older as you're going through all that stuff, so you're kind of, I don't know, you can remember a little bit better. And also I think like people that go through traumatic things forget that blur, so it's hard to like kind of piece it back in together. But yeah, I think essentially like you said, you and Dad went to Oski, and then he kind of pitched you over to Joel. I didn't even know that part, because obviously I was too young, and we left Aurora, where we were in that apartment, and I think we ended up in Altoona. No, we ended up in the hood in Des Moines. We were in the Drake neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's still pretty rough now. We've been over there like as adults, and it has its pockets of pretty sketchy places at night. Like you wouldn't just kind of meander around there. And so that's where we were after that. I don't remember a ton about that, to be honest. I'm trying to reflect on it as an adult, and I'm like, how did we go from Aurora, with Aunt Ruth and that situation, like pretty nice houses over there on that side of town. And then we're in Aurora, which is still pretty nice. It's not Drake by any means, but my mom's just like, yeah, that's where we should live. Yeah, like, and maybe part of it's like that's where she could afford and it made sense for the job.
Absolutely.
And like, but then maybe there's like, as we'll dive in later, like maybe that's where she can get in trouble easier. Mm-hmm. So we moved there. It was crazy. I think break-ins and stuff happened in our apartment quite often. I don't remember all the details. I just know, we'd go get in the car and the windows would be shattered. The radio's gone. Like, that's one memory I have of that spot. I had a slingshot. My mom always talked about like me running up and down the alleys, shooting rocks at like windows, people, cars.
Dude.
I remember, and I remember that whole situation, which is just crazy because what do we say? I was 7. So unsupervised running through the hood. Yeah. Shooting rocks and it was a nice slingshot. It wasn't just some like toy. This is like a wrist goes on that wrist, the big old yellow band. You could shoot it like it would kill a person if you hit them right, probably.
You had the little slingshot shots, or did you just shoot rocks?
Just rocks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can buy those like metal slingshot balls.
Yeah. Kill squirrels out of the trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 7 years old, running around doing that. Just some like random details I remember. I think my mom's boyfriend or a friend down the road had like a big rebel flag as a door. I don't even think he had a wooden door. And which is odd kind of as you get older and you're like, he's most definitely displaying hate, I think. And so just
didn't have that Southern heritage where you can maybe get away with it because of tradition.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the city. Yeah. So that was a little bit of our time there, and then we ended up moving out to Altoona, and there's some newer apartments at the time. I think they were like brand new or somewhat new. Mm. And again, it felt like years, but it probably was just a couple of months. That's when, well, I think there was some kind of weird Christmas in between where we were in a hotel. I don't know if you've ever heard that story.
I don't think so.
See, that's where I get a little confused, but somewhere along the lines, I don't know if I want to, I don't know. My mom was into criminal activities and writing checks, and I think she admitted to it once that it was like a $10,000 Christmas and
dude, you like probably had the best Christmas ever.
Yeah, the worst motel in Des Moines. And we're just bunked in there with like PlayStations and Huffies and
Legos and
and I think what happened was, siblings Gary and Crystal that I didn't really explain, but they're my mom's kids, but different dad. I think they must have just came down for Christmas, and we probably didn't have a spot. So my mom was like, I got to make this a bang, you know? Yeah. So I think that's where I first met little Gary. You got that bike, and I remember him teaching me how to ride on that thing or something with training wheels. But then anyways, from there, they went back to Michigan. We went to Altoona, which is kind of a weird place to remember. But one day, basically, to kind of fast forward, is we came home from school. My mom's friend Amy was there, and Amy was like, I'm taking you guys. Your mom went to prison, and she took us to some trailer park, I think maybe where she lived. The cops were kind of, here's a story I know, and I could be way wrong, but cops are coming to look for us, and she knows they're coming. So we like duck it in the back of a station wagon, and I kind of remember that, like laying low, cops driving by, or maybe I'm thinking they are, and I got to be quiet and lay down. But then from there, Amy sent us over to Bonnie and I want to say Clyde, but I don't know. Bonnie and Jack. Bonnie and Jack. Yeah.
Bonnie and Jack.
Bonnie and Jack in Greenville or Greenfield, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And this place was, I wish I could, I sometimes think about driving over there just to look around, but I don't know if I'd ever find the house. I think Freedom says she's seen it before, but basically an old shack and off the highway with hardly any electricity, I think, and poor running water and leaking roof, just kind of bad place to be. But Freedom and I were there. I think we got lice there, or maybe got it somewhere else, but we lice, and I remember, picking at our heads. It was like just scabs, and it was bad. It was that bad, or it was like, they were trying to do everything they could to get rid of them, but I think that was in the house that we were getting them from. So it's like,
what are you going to do?
Yeah. And then, to kind of skim along that experience, that experience wasn't bad. Jack and Bonnie were old people. They were nice. I don't recall any like foul play or anything weird with them. But anyways, Randy and Audra show up, who are Randy's Jack's son, I believe. And from the story I was told is Audra met us and she decided that she wanted to take care of us because she didn't have kids of her own, and she begged Randy if she could take us with her. And Jack and Bonnie were old. They're like, hell yeah, get them out of here. Probably. They're like, hell yeah, this is a gift. I don't know
these kids, get them.
Yeah. So we packed up and moved to Atlantic.
Which I do have to say, how ironic the dad now lives there.
Dude, like, it is so weird. Matter of fact,
he lives close to the same place, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like 2 blocks away. Like every time, the first time I went back, and I think Dad, it was the first time Dad had moved there with Juanita, and I went to visit him. Dude, I'm gonna cry. It's gonna cry.
Yeah. Dude, I can only imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and it makes no sense for people watching, but we'll dive into that. But
absolutely. I often and I don't know if this is how you feel, but like I watched I kind of skipped over some of this stuff, but I watched my mom get beat to hell by men.
Yeah.
And several times. One person in particular, he's dead now, thankfully, for my sake and probably his, because I told myself growing up, I'm going to kill him someday.
Yeah.
And I remember I went down there. I'm kind of breaking into your story here, but I went down there when it was probably 16 or 17, and I saw him because my mom still knew him, still in the same circle. And he, like, you got to imagine 8-year-old me to 17-year-old me.
Yeah.
There's quite a difference.
Yeah.
Like, and my mom's side of the family, for the most part, like my mom, like my brothers and stuff, my brother and sister on that side, they're all small. Like,
yeah.
I'm over 6 foot. They're like 5'4", and like I think maybe that's what he expected me to be when I got older. But when I was, I think 16 or 17, I wanted to kill him right there. And I don't know if it was cancer or whatever it was that got him. Good for him. I don't care. That's I kind of he maybe he's lucky he got cancer and didn't have to meet me as a crazy adult. But
yeah. That goes into religion too, if you want to get into that. Like, maybe he was served up. I don't know if, God doesn't serve up that, but maybe it was the devil's work.
Dude,
I don't know. He deserved it.
and oh, his name was his Bob as well, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
Robert, and I don't really care if his family ever sees this or whatever, because like
it is what it is. I'll to say the truth on him.
Whatever he died from would probably have been better than what I was going to do to him. So
yeah. So
special place in hell for for adults who hurt children and women.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and that's what those emotions were, and like that trailer is literally, same trailer park. It's a couple turns away, and when I first went to see Dad, I was like, I haven't been there since I was young, but I knew exactly where it was.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I drove by the trailer, and the people don't live there. Randy and Audra, it's long gone, and that backstory I later met with Audra, so I can kind of get into like what happened to her and him. But Randy wasn't a good guy, and when we lived in Atlantic there was a lot of bad things that happened, and what do we say? I was 7, so something, now as an adult and dads are like, God, if your 7-year-old saw something like that or had to experience it, I would be in prison for the rest of my life. Like,
yeah,
we wouldn't even let them watch something like that on TV. And I know you guys parent the same. It's like, and I had to live it. So
yeah,
weird place for me in Atlantic. But again, it was probably months, maybe it felt like years. And to kind of skim through the stories behind all that, Dad showed up one day. I'll backpedal a little bit because we were doing chores that day, and I think about the discipline that they imposed. Although the physical violence wasn't necessary, they did make us do chores and very strict. And I kind of appreciated that in a weird way. Like it's like no one had ever done that structure in my life, and although they saw it as punishment, it was nice to have. Like, you got to do the dishes today, and they better be done. Probably gave me some structure in my life, in a weird way.
I think that's something unique too, that you can, and people are gonna eventually hear just the god awful, terrible situations, but that you can take positives out of that. Like, that's always been something pretty impressive to me, because like it's hard to find positives in situations like that. So anyway, the chores.
So I'm doing dishes. Like, my life depends on it because they need to get done before shithead Randy got home to beat us up or whatever he did. And Dad shows up with the sheriffs, which, God, kids living through domestic violence, seeing the sheriff was like a sunny day, right? It was probably raining out, but it felt like it was 90 degrees. And they opened the door, and without even hesitation, Freedom and I were on that porch and loving on Dad, like, just thank God, because we didn't even know if we were ever going to see our parents again. We'd been writing Mom in prison, and they would share us some conversations that she would send back or whatever. But for a while, we thought it was over. Like, this is the new life. And but anyways, Dad showed up, and he was able to take me, not Freedom, just based on biology tests or whatever that had been done. So I remember, it's one of those days because it changes your life, so you kind of remember it. He had that big old Cadillac, which is funny because our dad's not a rich man, but he had this. It probably got like 4 gallons a mile, and I rode in the back of that thing all the way to New Sharon like I was the president of the United States. And I don't even know if we stopped at home first or if he just drove me to Walmart and bought a freaking bike. I felt like that mongoose was like also part of this whole trip there. It felt like new beginnings and
orange tires.
Yeah, and it felt it honestly felt like we grabbed it on the way. I was smiling the whole way, and I think we didn't even stop at home. We just went straight to that game. I really think that happened, and you know,
I really wish I could remember if I knew that was going to happen or if I didn't, because just thinking back, I don't remember like ever, and that's not to say I'm right in that, but I just remember, bam, there you are, dude.
Yeah. I know, dude, and it's just more emotions because it's like, we were best friends when we lived on D Street.
Yeah.
And
yep.
And then when I saw you again, it was like, dude, you're like the coolest dude,
I was such a nerd.
I know. It was like
yeah, it was good. It was good. And then the funny part is we ended up in that trailer with New Sharon, and wasn't life crazy? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It gets so crazy, but it was like the beginning of the best. Well, we were living crazy lifestyle, and it kind of was like normal and calm for us, which is just crazy to think about.
Oh yeah, like, yeah. So one of the things I remember, so probably a couple months because baseball. Now we're into school.
Yeah,
and we're riding home from school. So I'm a freshman, right? At this point, I'd be a freshman.
Yeah.
And so I think you were fourth grade, third, fourth, fifth, maybe something like that. I don't remember
third.
Exactly where. But you had like douchebag like fourth graders and fifth graders that would pick on you.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember this much. I don't
do.
remember the kid's name, but he would like ram your bike tire when you were riding home.
You saw this and remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember.
Because
I'm not gonna blast any names because I know some names, but But I remember.
Well, I think about it and I can't recollect a lot, but every teacher and everyone else was saying I was the bad kid, and it was like I never felt as if I was like finding people to hurt or like pick on, and I always kind of felt like I was getting picked on. And I just told Caitlin this the other day. It's like our principal at the time, his name's Greg. He had a soft place for me. I could tell. And I think it's because he knew that I wasn't instigating these things. Yeah. I was just finishing them because was like, dude, I'm a rough kid.
Yeah, and you had to, right?
Yeah.
And
so I'll let you finish on where you're going down, but
like, well, and just a side note, we're outsiders in a small town.
Yeah, we had that.
So that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and I can't remember this kid's name. I don't really care what the kid's name is, but he's in like 5th grade, older than you.
Yeah.
Might even have been 6th grade, and just like trying to wreck you on your bike and everything. And I finally pulled over, like got him over, and by the back of his neck, like not the front, I wasn't choking him. Yeah. But I grabbed him by the back of his neck. You know how you can squeeze and like, Yeah. So I just squeezed, and I'm like, you're not going to mess with him anymore. Like, leave him alone. Well, somebody's parent or somebody saw that. And so, a couple hours later, his mom was in our house yelling at us. And I remember Bob wasn't saying anything. Like,
really?
She, like, she wasn't defending us, but she also wasn't joining in on, you guys shouldn't have done that. Because I think she knew. Like, she knew I was sticking up for you. Like, I don't go messing around with people. And I thought, like, I didn't. But in my head, I had some stuff I wanted to say to this lady. Like,
yeah.
Because she turned out to be a real piece of shit, too. Like, who she was.
Yeah.
Like, who we found out who she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, nothing ever happened with that. Like, she did her whole threatening thing. And then found out who my dad was. So found out who our dad was. Oh, everything's okay now. So nothing, like they were scared of dad.
Yeah.
Some old Oski thing. So
Yeah.
But anyway, so I, like little things like that. But that whole trailer thing was a different experience. Like, living there.
Yeah, that's a
But
whole
the
nother
best,
podcast. We'll just label it the trailer.
yeah, the trailer.
The trailer.
Holy crap! Like not even like the preview trailer. Like it's the ending.
Yeah.
So, but we spent some time there, and I want to say was it my junior year? And like somewhere in my junior year, we moved into that house behind Casey's.
Yeah.
And man, great times.
God, yeah. Which is
Like,
cool. Like, sorry, I cut you off. I just, at least we all got to like spend a couple, 2 years or whatever, like as a family. That was tight.
So, like for me, leaving that trailer closed off. Like I have segments of my life that I don't talk about.
Yeah.
Like, so this is probably a little more than I've ever really talked about a lot of this stuff, but I just don't talk about it. And the reason I don't talk about it is because I don't want to relive it. Like my mistakes people have made that impacted me, that kind of thing. I like don't want to think about it. So like that was almost a point where I was like, okay, this is me now. Like when I look back at like it was probably my junior year that I'm like, okay, this is who I am. And I like there's still some, like learning relationship stuff. I was a terrible person.
Yeah.
I probably, if it weren't for Danny, I'd probably still be a terrible person, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, that time when Dad, working 12, 14 hours a day, the three of us together, cooking dinner.
Yeah. You know how many of those McRib oven meals we had is disgusting. Yeah.
So I always think of like,
but I loved them. So those were good.
Oh yeah. And then, so Dad a lot of times was gone right before we got up for school. So getting everybody ready for school, getting on the bus, dude. Like I remember the pots and pans, getting you guys up that, and you were pissed.
Yeah. Then I got a baritone.
Yeah, you were not a morning person. I just want you to remember
No, I'm still
that.
not.
Oh gosh, it was awful getting you up for school, and then so the dinners. A couple things here. One, I'll never forgive Freedom for licking my chicken.
Licking the chicken.
And I don't even know if she actually did, but she said she did.
I was there.
I wasn't gonna eat the chicken.
I don't think she did. No.
We'll have to get her on here sometime because she has some great stories herself.
Yeah.
And then do you remember the time we bought fish and I was making supper and Dad's like, I want fish. So we have these fish fillets. I'm 16, I'm 17.
How are you supposed to make these things?
Well, like we're just doing life, dude. So I throw them on a baking sheet, put some salt, pepper, some whatever on it that we had, and I bake it. And he came home. He was pissed.
Oh yeah.
He was so pissed. He wanted it breaded and fried.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I'm like 16. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah.
So just some of those, but man, video games all the time.
Yeah.
Great times.
Yeah, I think we went to Myers a lot. A little bit before that when we were at the trailer, but
yeah, because that's where I blew my leg out on the bicycle bolt. Yeah,
skipped over that time. Those are the best times.
Dude, we'll get back into some of those.
Yeah.
But I just, just so people like if they're following along, just for us to rehash, like, hey, it's kind of wild. There was a lot of time that we weren't brothers.
Yeah.
That knew each other, Yeah.
Like,
so
think about just like a thought I had it, if we lived in the same household, you're 5 years old and I'm a newborn and we grew up together, like how close we'd be then. Like I think we're closer than any, I'd put us up against any brother duo.
Yeah.
We're pretty damn close. Like you're my guy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of think like if we were that close.
You had all those experiences,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
So good old New Sharon. Both graduated from New Sharon.
Yep.
I left you guys, went to college, Kirkwood, then you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, man, there was that weird time where Dad went back to Bob.
Oh yeah.
When the kids were gone, Dad went back to Bob.
I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
Which, shout out to him for. I don't know if it was like Freedom and I just saying we'd rather not have rules, so we moved in with my mom, but I don't know how that affected him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both your kids are just like
I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah, I don't know how old I was, or I think it was.
I think there's something though. I think there's something, and I still get it, and we'll talk too because we're both in similar situations with our own moms.
Yeah.
But I think there's always that you want to have a good relationship with your mom. You want to have what kid doesn't want to have that?
Yeah.
And like you think about the stuff you've been through, the stuff I've been through, and we still want that with our moms.
Yeah.
But and then you come to this situation where so at that, going back to you saying you wanted to live with your mom versus dad.
Yeah.
That's I think somewhat natural.
Yeah.
And then you get to this point where you become an adult and you kind of learned all these things and you're like, whoa, like I got to protect my family.
Yeah.
From, so which is all a lot of additional stuff too. But so that's where we get with some of that stuff. But,
yeah. Next chapter, adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good intro of like our beginnings, like you said, where we connected, and it would be good for people that like know us to hear that, because it's like they would. I could almost imagine they wouldn't think that. Like we were really only together when you were in 8th grade. Honestly, like the little bit of time, but
so I always kind of chuckle at one of these things. You said that what people wouldn't believe or whatever. I was a manager at a past job, and this guy called me somebody that he wasn't even my employee.
Oh no!
But didn't say it to my face either.
I think I lost you. If you can hear me, I cannot hear you.
I had to work for anything in my life, and it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. Did I lose you?
Oh, you're back.
All right. Yeah, I think I lost you. Where did I lose you at?
Manager at a past job.
Yeah, so I was manager at a past job, and so you saying something about, people wouldn't believe, we weren't around, all that kind of stuff, whatever. So I had this guy that did not report to me, but and he didn't say it to me, but it got told to me that I was just a rich boy that had everything handed to me. So I'm like, yep, you're 100% correct. So
man, don't you love that? Like,
but
I love that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, well, I mean,
yeah,
if you think so, I'll go with that, buddy. But
sir, I'm not bluffing. I'll pull these cards over right now.
Yeah.
They're garbage.
So, yeah, just get things going. So, wrapping up this,
yeah,
let's get to. I went to Kirkwood, graduated there, went to UNI. Danny transferred from Evangel to UNI. We'll get more details later on, like, maybe Danny and I's relationship and how we met and all the fun stuff that was going on there.
Yeah.
But got married junior year, And then Mac was on the way after we graduated.
Yep.
So that was quick, and then we ended up moving back to New Sharon, which you were there with your mom and
yep.
got to watch your senior year.
Yep.
And then you had a short stint at Indian Hills, right?
Yeah. A little bit of a backstory that we can get into later, but graduated and we did all the recruiting together. You helped me out, and I was set to go to Iowa Western and just didn't go, and went to Indian Hills because it was close. And I was like, I know I got to go somewhere, but obviously they didn't have football. And that was like, I put all my eggs in that basket and then just smashed that bitch on the ground. I was like, I'm going to work at Casey's. And, so lived in town, went to Indian Hills, and then transferred after a couple of months to Simpson. Or after the first year, I think I made it a year, and then went to Simpson. Primarily
situations changed.
Yeah, situations changed, and I thought it would be a good direction for me to continue football, and it turned out to be probably the best decision, I guess, looking back.
Yeah, it turned out great, I think.
Yeah.
I do have to, you know how I decided on Kirkwood?
No.
Baseball my senior year.
Really?
Yeah.
You were going to try out for baseball?
No.
Oh.
Baseball, my senior year baseball at North Mahaska. Nick.
Wanted to play there?
I think he was going to, I don't know if he was going to play there, but he was just like, I'm going to Kirkwood. I was talking to some other guys. They're like, I'm going to Kirkwood. I'm like, hell, I'm going to Kirkwood.
It's a little late. It's after the school year. You're just like, yep.
So
baseball guys are going.
I was actually applied to and accepted and had plans to move back to Arkansas.
I remember that.
I don't know if you. Yeah. I was 100% going back home. Arkansas Tech University.
Yeah.
Was going to go there again. Son wants to, help his mom, be around his mom, whatever that is.
Yeah.
My grandma was there, and actually she passed away Easter of my senior year, and then I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing now, because there was kind of like this, I knew, I know it's not a great situation going into, but, I get to be there, I get to really, been all over the place. My grandma, and we'll talk about my mom's side of the family, as well, like my aunts and uncles on that side, and my grandma and my grandpa and stuff. But you're talking two different lives, man.
Yeah.
I do have some amazing aunts and uncles that I got to Mac was little, but I got to visit with a couple of my aunts, and they never really knew what was going on in our lives, and so I got to have really good talk with them, and like how cool that was.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that gets us both graduated from college. So when we pick up on our next chat, not only do we not just want to talk about like our past, but I think we want to talk about just our kids today, get updates. So let's cut off on the backstory. And I know this is kind of, hopefully people are still listening, or if they are listening, this is the stuff they really want to hear anyways. But guys, how's the kids? How's Caitlin? How'd the last week go?
I mean, as far as updates, everyone's wonderful, obviously. It's weird having that conversation with your dad, and then you just have this one, because we're living a freaking, we live the dream, and I don't say that to make anyone feel like they're not up to that standard, but we sing and dance and have a good time. Obviously, Johnny's 3.5, so he does toddler things, and we try to teach him the way and not get too mad. But Cleo, she's 8 months, and she's the happiest baby. Like Caitlin says it all the time, which is cool, because she's worked in many different child care places, and she's like, no, she's a different level of happy, and like
You see it in all the pictures.
Yeah.
You see it in all the pictures.
Which is just
like it's
crazy to think like, you know, I don't know, I might fail the next 17, 15 years of their lives, but like so far we're kicking ass and it's cool.
Killing it.
Yeah. I can't.
That's good.
Yeah. So they're all good and Caitlin's amazing. Obviously she literally does everything. Like, she's listened to this. She's like, yep. So I just try to hang on and follow her lead and, you know.
Do you remember the advice I gave about picking a partner? And I still think this is 100% true. Like, and I'll say it, but it sounds like a joke.
No, I don't remember it, but I'm curious.
Make sure you're the crazy one in the relationship. Because
Yeah.
you can contain you're crazy, but like if they're so
Yeah.
I think you did a great job picking a partner. So
yeah, and I'll add to that because it's my flavor to get a little bit of crazy, and she knows it too. But
yeah,
you picked. Well, you know, Danny's like the best woman we know, but like Caitlin's the next best because she's got a little crazy. She's just she's a fighter.
Dude, so we're just talking about them, you know, like Danny is 100% the rock in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if it was and I don't mean that in a bad way, because she holds the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Because every other month I have a crazy idea.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, let's do this. And she's like, let's think this through, right?
Yeah.
Like you're crazy.
Yeah.
And or if I'm pissed off about something and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing. And she's like, I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Luckily for us, it's like we have our checks and balances of like, you know, if she wants to like freak out on the waiter because you messed up an order or something, I'm like, oh, calm about it. But if I want to freak out about something, she's like, okay, you got to be calm about it.
Yeah.
So
the best tag team partners.
Yeah.
So when you're struggling, you just tag them. And, I think that's where, Danny unfortunately has the weakest tag team partner because I'm not helping her out. No, she so Mac, obviously she's a sophomore. Rhett, he's in 3rd grade. But you have no like Mac. I've talked to you and you've probably been around it. How unbelievably terrible of a dad/coach growing up I was, and you know, just wild. It's the exact opposite with Rhett.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the reasoning why. and subconsciously, our brother JD, which we'll talk more about too, he told me, you think you're bad with McKenna, just wait, you're gonna be worse with your son. And that's always stuck with me. And and so I'm like, man, I can't do that. So it's kind of funny because when we're at Rhett's basketball games, Danny's like, box out, you know, like what, you know, I'm like, he doesn't know what you're saying. Like, it doesn't matter. So I'm like trying to calm her down because I'm turning him into a big baby. Whereas, you know, Mac, I don't know how bad I've destroyed that kid, but she's pretty fantastic too.
Yeah. And you know, their intensities are, I don't know. I'm sure you feel that way too. It's just their intensity is just different, and when that happens, I feel like the expectations go up for you. Like just from a third party standby, I can see like, you know, the intensity of Mac rises, you rise, and like you know.
Oh my gosh! So my goal this year, I did much better last year as far as like making comments to umpires and stuff.
Yeah.
My goal this year is not a single word. I'm just going to sit and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. You're not going to change anything.
I'll tell you one thing that I always think about in your situation of like kind of yelling at refs. My college coach, Glogowski, he like burned it into our heads that we didn't talk to the refs. Like he handles it. And our parents don't talk to the refs. He handles it. And like his intensity with like taking control of that tone and the way he handled it, he never like throws clipboard at the ref. He never like he would be up there at an 8 or a 9, but he's not like threatening the ref at all.
Not making it personal.
Yeah.
You can't make it personal. That's the key.
Yeah. And I've always just taken that from him of like, yeah, it's the head coach's job. It's not the coordinators. It's not the defensive coordinator. It's not, the athletic director. It's like, this is the head coach's, his role to nurture that relationship. So like, I always kind of see you going off the rocker and I'm like, dude, I'm so trained not to do that. Then I'm like,
yeah.
But then I tell Caitlin that, to be honest, like behind doors, I'm like, I just don't want to be like Ryan when he yells at refs. And she's like, yeah, but once you're a kid. So like, dude, I'm up against that too.
The emotion factor is so much, but that's at maturity. Like we'll see. I'm dumb. Like I know that. Yeah. Like I'm an idiot. And this is the year, man. This is the year. I'll be, So, 37. I finally figured it out. I think
I say that out loud because we'll see when my kids get up there. Like we'll be laughing about this on a future podcast of how I got thrown out of the third game this week.
Oh man! So that's like 11U. So I think 11U is the last time I was thrown out. So 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was a burner too. It was on our anniversary.
Yeah, like, God.
Danny and I.
It ruined the vibes.
Like, in my defense, I had already ejected myself. Like I knew it wasn't going well.
Yeah.
So I just turned around and walked away. Well, the umpire's yelling at me from inside the fence, and like I'm walking to the parking lot, I'm leaving. Right? Like I'm out. And he's still yelling at me. I go, I didn't really, and he's like, and you're out of here. And then I finally just let him have it even more. I'm like, you really are blind. I've been leaving. Like, I've been trying to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, I made a promise to Mac that time. That was the last time that would ever happen. So.
Yeah.
Done pretty good.
You gotta do the best you can.
Pretty good.
Don't beat yourself up too much about that.
Oh man, you don't know how much stuff I beat myself up over. It just sits and it just like, you really are a dumbass. Like that's like,
yeah.
It's oh well.
That's why we're talking. Maybe this will help us just grow better having this conversation,
dude. So I've decided I'm gonna get a crossword puzzle book and one of those word search books, and I'm gonna put some AirPods in at the game, and I'm gonna try to be watching and doing that at the same. That way, I'm not so emotionally invested.
Yeah.
It'd be good for us.
Yeah.
As far as me, and I'm sure our coaches and other parents would probably be thankful for that. So.
Yeah. Well, plenty of time left to keep your cool.
I'm just going to go to Johnnie's games and I'm going to get tossed from those.
No, well, if Mac plays college, then I guess we're just going to have to go there and be rowdy together because.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know what she'll want to do. She's interesting. She's got so many interests. As far as life choices, she says she already knows what she wants to do for school and everything. So.
Yeah.
Crap, I'm 37. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do when I grow up. So,
yeah,
maybe a podcaster.
Yeah, I know.
A YouTuber.
Once this bad boy gets off the ground.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Well,
what are we running at right now? Hour and a half.
I'm showing an hour and a half. We got to edit out those audio issues you had earlier.
Oh yeah. So we might be about an hour.
So yeah, I don't even know what time we started. We tried 7:30. It's probably 7:45.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you can mark the clip too. FYI.
Oh, should have done that.
Yeah.
So well, and this is just us testing out this software. So if we like this, maybe we say this is the one. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool though. I've had a good time with this.
Yeah. It's a good first one. Do we need an outro?
Do we need an outro?
Just
Wayne's World.
Yeah, there you go.
Wayne's World.
Yeah. Some horrible graphics like spinning in the background.
Yeah. We're on your local cable network, whatever channel that was.
Yeah.
22. So, but yeah, we'll work on getting this thing edited. Do you just want me to? What do you want to do with it? Like,
That's up to you.
That's how professional we are.
Yeah.
So do we just create a YouTube account, throw it on the YouTube account?
I think so. Yeah.
And then you can share the link if you want to on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about all that yet, but at least it'll be out there to share later. If I don't know, what do you feel about it,
dude? If you want to share it, let's share it. I don't care. Like,
yeah, I don't care either. We'll see. Maybe it'll be a random thought where I'm like, I kind of want people to hear this, or maybe I'll.
I mean, honestly, if somebody used this as the background noise, excuse me, while they're working, the background noise while they're working, I'm cool with that.
That's
too.
Cool.
So, yeah, no big deal. But
yeah, I think just edit and get it out on YouTube, and
really the only editing I'm doing, by the way, is the beginning part. We'll start talking.
Yeah.
But also where it kind of cut out on us.
Yeah.
I'll get that deleted out of there. But other than that.
Yeah. I would say something simple. Don't waste a lot of time on it. And then, obviously if we get a little more invested, I can roll my sleeves up and help with editing too as you get busy.
Yeah. I don't even know if it'll be that.
Who cares? All right.
Yep.
Cool. It's been fun.
Well, has been. Can't
believe I cried on the first episode.
Dude, there's gonna be a lot of crying. We're a bunch of wusses. We didn't even get into some of the stuff we really wanted to.
I know.
I can't believe how much that actually. We're just talking, and that just.
Yeah, I know. Hour and a half.
So, yeah, a lot of fun. So anyway,
all right.
Love you.
Too, man.
You guys have a good week. Tell the fam hello for me.
Yeah.
And
you do the same.
Go kill Monday.
Oh yeah, you too.
Make it your bitch.
Yep.
All right. Love you,
Love
buddy.
you too. Bye.